On this channel, I spend a lot of time talking about full FNAF fan game releases, going in depth on everything from the story to the gameplay. These videos are great and all, but the format leaves a lot of fan games unfit for videos to be made on them, whether that be because they're too short, don't fit a certain criteria, or just aren't fully released yet. That doesn't mean that these FNAF fan games don't hold any value though, as some fan game demos, which aren't long enough to make full videos on that I've played recently, have had the potential to become some of the best FNAF fan games of all time had they actually released. That's why in today's video I want to show you guys two of my favorite FNAF fan game demos that I've played, breaking down everything they have to offer to see why these two really have the potential to be amazing. So if that sounds interesting to you, then join me as we dive deep into two FNAF fan game demos with terrifying potential. Before that though, today's video is once again sponsored by Red Magic. Today I'm showing you guys the brand new Red Magic Astra gaming tablet, which is designed to give you the perfect balance between portability and performance. Just like the many phones I've shown you guys from Red Magic, this thing has all the fancy specs you would ever need for all of your mobile games. Thanks to its 2.4K OLED 165Hz display, enhanced ICE-X cooling system, and its fast charging 8200 mAh battery, this thing has been a joy to use. With all of those great specs packed into such a compact tablet, it's perfect for anyone who prioritizes performance, visuals, and mobility in their mobile gaming. Because of the sleek design of the tablet, it feels really nice to hold and is not unnecessarily heavy. Also, this screen is beautiful. The OLED really makes the colors pop, and thanks to the 165Hz games, as well as when you're just browsing around, everything just looks buttery smooth. This thing also has all of the other amazing features you would expect from a Red Magic phone, such as great speakers, a high quality camera, and the latest Red Magic OS. If you want to upgrade your mobile gaming experience today, then head over to my link in the description to check out the Red Magic Astra gaming tablet for yourself. With that being said, thank you to Red Magic for sponsoring. Now let's get back to the video. The first game up on our list is A Nightmare with Colors Resaturated, and this was the game right here that inspired the creation of this whole video. I knew immediately after playing this that I had to show it to you guys one way or another because I know a lot of people haven't heard of this game and they definitely should. The demo was released almost 2 years ago now. Although the developer is extremely talented, they highlight in this Game Jolt post right here that the game is not their #1 priority, and that is why it's taking so long to release. Also due to the creator not being entirely happy with the final product, which I can respect. That post was 11 months ago now, and as of 7 months ago, we would then get some teasers on the Game Jolt page, with one of them reading "back to work," insinuating that the developer is back to finish the game up soon. Now that you're fully caught up on how the game is progressing along, let's jump into the demo to see why this fan game has so much potential. Immediately when the game starts up, you can tell that this is going to be a good fan game. For FNAF fan games, the menu always gives you a small look into the quality of the game. The polish of the menu, along with the choice of music and overall creative direction, can really set the tone for the game going forward. This game right away gave me the vibe of something like Tealerland, which only becomes more realized deeper into the game we get. After pressing start, we enter our name before then moving on to the intro cutscene. We see our protagonist's car, which is making its way to work, with some text on the screen that reads, "You've recently been running low on money, so your first decision was to get a quick job at the new restaurant that popped up recently. It's called the Color Fun Diner. It features a full cast of animatronic characters as its main attraction, something popularized by recent horror game franchises. You're currently driving up to the restaurant to start up your first day at the job. Your workplace position is to be the diner's night guard, a simple job. After all, who would want to invade a place like this during the night? They pay well, so you'll get some quick and easy cash. It's going to be easy. What could possibly go wrong?" After this, we return back to the main menu, only this time to a level select screen, one that is once again very reminiscent of Tealerland. We can see things like our death counter in the bottom left corner, as well as the percentage of the game that we've completed. Also, clicking on the level we are about to jump into, we get a brief description. Level 1 is titled The Eye Test, and the description reads, Your first task at the Color Fun Diner is to test a new eyeball device that has been anonymously shipped to the diner. During the test, you'll be attacked by some faulty animatronics in the parts and service room. Learn how the basic rules work to avoid danger and do your task. Pair the eyeball device to Gray the Wolf. Because there is sadly no phone guide to give us instructions for this game's demo, after pressing play on the level, we are given a brief slideshow which gives us insight on what we are going to be doing for our task. Before getting to that though, now that we are finally in game, I have to say that this game looks great. I'm not sure what engine this game is running on, but I've never seen a 2D FNAF game have such high resolution models. Not only that, but everything is animated to move in real time, and the overall aesthetic of the game looks amazing. Enough talk about the graphics though, what about the actual gameplay? Well, for this first night, we begin by opening up Gray the Wolf's face hatch, and from here we are able to unscrew his eye and replace it with a brand new one. We now need to open up our tablet and complete various different tasks in order to finish the repair. While this is happening though, Gray the Wolf is now active, meaning they can be seen moving and becoming aggressive right in front of us. Luckily, that's not too much of a problem though. Meet Inagus. Yes, that's right. I just pulled out a gun and shot the animatronic. Well, technically it's not a gun, but like, come on, what else does this thing look like? Anyways, we can use this gun to shoot Gray if we see them moving. However, we need to be careful as we can only shoot Gray if his pupils have color in them, and he can also be seen attacking us. After blasting him with the gun though, he returns back to his original position, which frees up time for us to complete our tasks. These tasks are actually really fun to do too. They rely a lot on reaction time and mouse movement over confusing puzzles, which I find to be a lot more entertaining. Gray the Wolf is not the only animatronic bothering us during the first night though, as we also have this little thing which can appear in our room, and if we see it shaking, we need to look away to make sure it doesn't kill us. We also need to make sure that we don't spend too much time not doing our tasks, as this thing right here, which goes by the name of Spectra V2, will kill us. I actually think that this animatronic design is the coolest in the game. It has a really unique, almost sci-fi-esque appearance, which makes me really curious to learn more about its story. Another cool feature that this game has are unique death screens for each character, which I always find to be really nice in fan games. It lets us get a more personal look at each animatronic after dying to them, and also gives tips to struggling players that may not know how they died. After replacing Gray the Wolf's eye and completing the 10 tasks on the tablet, we are then able to press this end button and finish the night. We then get a level complete screen as well as the time it took to complete the level, which I think is a really nice addition because all of the nights in this game are task based and don't force us to go until 6 AM. This gives players the incentive to replay the game and try to get their fastest possible times. After finishing the introduction night, we now unlock level 2 titled the Night Shift. Here you'll learn what your main function at the Color Fun Diner is. Watch over the place during the night. Try to understand all of the different systems you need to manage in your office. There are no threats in this shift. You can be here as long as you'd like. Take your time. After pressing play, we then load into the main night shift office, and once again, wow, this game looks beautiful. This first night shift has no threats at all, meaning we are free to take our time learning all of the mechanics. So we have a hallway right in front of us, as well as a doorway to our left and a doorway to our right, all of which don't have doors on them. We also have this very ominous vent right above our heads, as well as a camera system behind us which is used for multiple different things. Now luckily, even though we are out of parts and service, we still have our gun on us. And by clicking on this icon in the top left of the camera, we are actually able to recharge ammo. Yes, you heard that right. We can recharge ammo with the computer. Also, on this camera, we have the ventilation system. Basically, if any room in the building goes below 18 degrees or above 22, we need to reset that room's ventilation. This mechanic had me pretty worried at first, but luckily you can beat the nights so fast that most of the time you won't even have to worry about this. In the top right of the camera, we have our tasks, which we need to complete in order to move on to the next night. This task, just like the other ones, is once again extremely simple in concept, but actually requires a lot of concentration to complete. So basically a word is displayed on screen in a certain color. If the word matches the color, then we press the check mark. But if the word doesn't match the color, then we press the X. Every time we get one right, we earn a point. And for night 1, we need 30 points to finish out the night. This isn't too bad and can be completed pretty quick if you're locked in, but if you make a mistake, it will dock you down points, so you need to make sure you're putting in the right answer every single time, especially if you don't want to get killed in the later nights. After learning the basics of the Office gameplay, we can finally finish our task for the night and move on to the next level. Now, sadly, we aren't introduced to any story elements as this is still the demo, but we still have a surprising amount of levels ahead. For this first real shift, we are faced once again against Gray the Wolf. When in the night shift, Gray can roam around the entire diner. It is recommended to keep an eye on him through the cameras. He can get into your office through any door. Use your Anagas to send him off. If he enters through the main door, he'll immediately start walking towards you. Use your Anagas to make him go away. So yeah, you read the tutorial right. Basically, it's the same as last night. However, whenever Gray the Wolf decides he wants to try to kill us, we simply up our gun and neutralize the animatronic. Even with the safety of a literal gun on my hip, I still managed to die a few times during this night because of how fast the animatronics move. I was seriously trying to keep track of this guy on the cameras, but at one point I had to just give up because he was so fast and unpredictable. So for night 1, I instead chose to do the classic FNAF strategy of solely focusing on the tasks and completely ignoring the animatronics, which surprisingly for night 1 worked out for me, allowing me to complete the shift in only 30 seconds. I think it's really cool that the nights aren't time-based and instead are finished by completing your tasks, as it opens up so many more possibilities for gameplay. You can be a greedy player who just wants to get their tasks done as quickly as possible, or you can take your time slowly defending against the animatronics one at a time while patiently picking away at your tasks. For the second official shift, we are introduced to yet another new animatronic, this one going by the name Blue. Just like Gray, Blue roams around the building on the cameras and can enter our office through the doors as well as the vent above us. We need to see if he's shaking or not, and if he is, we need to look away from him instead of shooting. Also, Blue is a little guy for some reason. Not really sure why this animatronic is so small, but yeah, he's adorable. Night 2 is pretty much just more of the same as night 1. You can attempt to track Blue on the cameras, but I say for this shift, it's more important to just worry about the tasks. I actually tried to put off the tasks in order to get a better look at Blue, but I was actually killed by Spectra V2. So yeah, make sure you're doing those tasks, because I wasn't even away from them for that long and this guy came and killed me right away. All of the nights in this game have the same task of checking the colored words. However, for night 2 we need to do 40 instead of 30, which still isn't too bad. I was able to eventually beat this night in 34 seconds after just a couple failed attempts. It's now time for night shift 3 though, which is the third and final night shift of the demo. For this third shift, we are introduced to both White and Yellow, two new animatronics. White works almost identical to Gray, roaming around the restaurant before eventually wandering into our office through the main door. The difference with White though is that he will then close his eyes when he's in our office, and it's only once he opens them back up and starts walking towards us that we are allowed to shoot him. This is a cool mechanic because it forces the player to actually practice a bit of trigger discipline during the night, as it stops you from basically just blind firing at every moving object you see, which I think is pretty clever. As for Yellow, well, they are exactly the same as Blue. So basically we now have two of these little nuisances running around the restaurant. This night was actually pretty sweaty, but I was locked in. Once I learned about the time each animatronic would arrive at the office, I was able to play off of that to know when to stop doing my tasks, which made it a lot easier to segment my time and complete the tasks quickly. This level on my best attempt took me 47 seconds to complete. After finishing that, we unlock one final level for the demo, although it's not really a level like the other ones. Instead having us play a in-universe arcade game and achieve a certain score in order to progress the level. While this isn't really a part of the actual gameplay, I still do think it's a pretty cool part of the game. It showcases a lot of potential within the developer that they are able to create these side modes within the game that also play and feel really good. With that being said though, that is where the demo for A Nightmare with Colors Resaturated ends. I seriously cannot wait for this game to release with a fully fledged story and all of its levels. And I'll definitely be covering it on the channel whenever it eventually drops. For the second demo I'm showcasing today, we have Five Nights at Freddy's 6 Freak Show. This fan game was a demo for a remake of Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator, which is actually one of my favorite FNAF games in the series. And with that already promising premise, along with some pretty cool redesigns and some restored cut content, this game had me extremely excited. Sadly, this fan game, to my knowledge, was silently cancelled with no further updates on the game ever being added beyond its original release. But regardless of the game's unfortunate cancellation, there is still a lot of cool things to talk about with this game, so let's just jump right in. The game opens up pretty much identical to the original FNAF Pizzeria Simulator. We get a basic little menu for the game before we are then controlling Freddy in an arcade style minigame. This is of course before the bait and switch, which plays out almost exactly the same until this wall opens up to our left, and entering it reveals this. Michael Afton in the alleyway of the pizzeria encountering Scrap Baby. This is already really cool because this is a level of detail and context that Scott did not include in Pizzeria Simulator, instead choosing to make the story more vague. So if this game aimed to take that story and make it more digestible for the average player, I think that would have been extremely cool. After that little tease of what's to come, we then load into the real main menu of the game, which is a lot more adjacent to the classic FNAF menus than the real Pizzeria Simulator was. The game also opts to give itself the subtitle Freak Show, which I think is actually really fitting, considering this game is where we meet the Scrap animatronics. After pressing New Game, we are given a date the game takes place in, that being June 8th, 2026, before loading into our first interrogation section. Just like the original game, we are given the choice to either salvage the animatronic in front of us or throw it back into the alleyway. There's no fun in just throwing him away though, so I decided to of course salvage the animatronic, which begins our very first gameplay section. We need to watch over the animatronic and observe its movements, filling out the paper in front of us if anything occurs. We're also given a shock button if we feel threatened by the animatronics. However, using it too many times causes the value of the animatronic to drop. So it's a game about trusting your gut, being sparing with your resources, and paying close attention. It plays out extremely similar to how it does in the original game, with the main difference being the voice actor for Henry and the actual appearance of the animatronics throughout the game. After finishing all 5 prompts on our checklist, our job is finished, and we now must move on to the office survival section, where we will be put face to face with the animatronic that we just let in. Besides sporting a brand new visual overhaul, the office is the same layout as the original Pizza Sim, with a vent to our left, a vent to our right, and a computer in front of us. The gameplay also remains pretty similar. We still have our motion tracker for keeping tabs on the animatronics, the audio lure, and of course the tasks we need to complete in order to progress the night. One of the best changes this game makes to the original gameplay though is the tasks. While the original game had us basically just holding buttons until they were finished, this remake sets out to make the tasks actually more engaging and challenging. This not only makes them more fun to play, but also makes it so your time spent during the tasks is on trial and error and not on artificially long loading times. There still is one minigame like that though, but besides that one, the ones that require you to type in codes or time button presses correctly, challenge the player to master them if they want to get through the nights in a timely manner. Night 1 was pretty easy, with me not even encountering Molten Freddy one time. Before moving on to the second night though, we actually have a third job to do that wasn't present at all in the original game, and is by far the coolest addition to this remake. So in the survival logbook, which is a FNAF book that includes little hints towards the lore, there's a strange picture towards the back of the book of a scrapped Chica animatronic. This was never mentioned again and hasn't appeared in any of the games. That is until now, as in this section we are sat right in front of Scrap Chica, who looks nearly identical to how she did in that book. We need to keep a very close eye on her, checking to her right and left sides if she ever decides to get up and move. While doing this, we also need to find time to pull up our paranormal detector and move it to the right position in order to hear the music playing correctly. We can then press enter, and we need to do this several times before we are able to complete the section. This part of the game is probably the scariest of all the sections. Chica's model is really creepy, and the poses she does along with how she twitches around uncontrollably just makes her really scary. After finding the right frequency enough times, we then need to wait for the detector to recompile data before the shift is finally over. So that was the end of night 1, a very eventful first night. Returning to the menu, we can see that Scrap Trap has now been replaced by Lefty, who is the next animatronic we'll be encountering. This game's nights do go for a long time since they have 3 different sections. However, since this is just a demo, there is only one more night available. The next night of course takes place on June 9th. We once again begin in the interrogation section, this time sitting across from Lefty, who is the character that probably got the biggest redesign out of the entire cast. Just like night 1, we once again need to watch over the animatronic and take notes on their movements, while also making sure to shock them if they ever become too aggressive. After this, it's back to the office section, and once again, just like the interrogation, the gameplay is pretty much the exact same as night 1, only this time we have 2 animatronics to worry about. It sucks that this game only has 2 nights because we can't see how chaotic the game would have gotten if we saw all of the animatronics introduced. But this demo does give us a chance to at least mess around with the mechanics and also see a few of the jump scare animations, which I personally think look better than the ones in the original game. During night 2, we once again need to do the Chica minigame as well. I'm not sure if the developer planned on having us do the same task every single night, or planned to add different animatronics to this gameplay area every single time, as I feel like doing this for 5 nights could have gotten a little bit repetitive. After finishing that second Chica minigame, that is unfortunately where the demo ends though. Overall, you can really see the potential in this game. The models of the animatronics all look well detailed and terrifying. The game replicates Scott's style almost perfectly while also somehow feeling more gritty, and the gameplay makes overall positive changes over the original experience. It's just sad we'll never know how the story of this fan game would have panned out, as that is actually the part of the game I'm most curious about. With that being said though, that's the end of the video guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Comment down below which one of these games was your favorite, and with that being said, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace. Also, one last thank you to Red Magic for sponsoring today's video.